Hi class! Today we are going to be working on estimating and measuring mass. Estimating and measuring mass. Now this probably sounds similar to the lesson we had just a couple of days ago where we were estimating and measuring capacity. When we were using capacity, we were measuring things that were liquids, capacities in liters or milliliters. Today we're going to be measuring mass, and mass is kind of a tricky thing to describe. It's not mass like we're going to church. Mass means the amount of matter in an object. Remember when we've talked about cells and we talk about them being the smallest little pieces that make up everything around us? So I'm made up of cells. You're made up of cells. This mini eraser is made up of cells. Everything is made up of cells. When we're talking about mass, we're talking about how many cells or atoms are squished into each object. It's kind of like weight, but today we're just going to call it mass. So we're going to measure the mass of objects. And there's two units that we use when we are talking about measuring mass. One of them is grams. Grams. We measure something in so many grams. Now, how much is a gram? It's a great question. You can think of a gram as being about the same as the mass of a paperclip. If you have a paperclip at home, go get it, feel it in your hand, feel how much mass is in this paperclip. Another object that has the mass of about 1 gram is our math place value blocks. We have hundreds, tens, and then our ones. The ones that we have in our classroom are blue. This one that I have is white. But you can see a mass is not very much. Mass is, it's usually objects that are pretty small would have a mass 1 gram. Paperclip, 1 counting cube. The other unit we're going to talk about today is kilograms. Kilograms is going to be more than a gram. In fact, it's 1,000 grams. So if you can imagine what holding 1,000 paperclips would be like, or holding 1,000 ones blocks. It's kind of hard to imagine, so I have a few other things that might help remind you. A kilogram is about the same mass as a dictionary. If you have a dictionary or another large textbook in your house, you might want to go feel it and feel, what does 1 kilogram feel like? Another object that weighs about 1 kilogram is an iron. If you have an iron in your house, maybe you can go feel that. Feel how much is 1 kilogram. Another object is a pineapple. If you have a pineapple in your house, that would weigh about 1 kilogram. And a final object is a toaster. A toaster has a mass of about 1 kilogram. We use a special tool to help us determine the mass of an object. I actually don't have it with me, but I have built one that's very similar to it. What we would use is called a bucket balance. Maybe you've seen a balance before where you put an object on one side and an object on the other side. Which side would go down towards the ground? The side with more mass. The side that was heavier. So if I had my dictionary balanced here and I had 2 paper clips balanced here, my balance would tilt like this because the dictionary has more mass than 2 paper clips. A bucket balance looks a little like this. I would put my objects in each side. The side with more mass would tilt down towards the ground. Now it's time to do some problems about estimating and measuring mass. Get out your workbook pages. We're going to need pages 647 through 650, and you also need a sharp pencil. Get those things now. All right, we're ready to get started with some of these problems. What you are going to see for the first group of problems is a list of objects, and you need to circle whether grams or kilograms would be the better measure to measure that object, to measure its mass. Remember, we are going to use grams to measure things that are lighter. You don't need help lifting them. They're very light. Remember, think of it like a paper clip. We use kilograms to measure things that are heavier. Think of a dictionary. Heavier things we would measure with kilograms. So, question number 3, a toothbrush. Would you measure that in grams or kilograms? Here's a good hint for you. If it's going to be under 1 kilogram, if it's going to be lighter than 1 kilogram, we always use grams to help us measure that. A toothbrush is definitely lighter than a dictionary, so we would use grams. As you go through the next problems on this page, all the way through number 14, use this thinking to help you. Does this object, is it lighter than a dictionary or heavier than a dictionary? If it's lighter, you're going to use grams. If it's heavier, you're going to use kilograms. Complete page 647 now. Okay, now it's time to move on to the next page. These problems are a little different, so I want us to do the first one together. We're not actually going to go out and measure objects to see whether they weigh grams or kilograms. We're going to estimate. We're going to use our best guess. Number 15 says, a store in the mall sells fresh baked pretzels. Would it be more reasonable to measure the mass of a baked pretzel in grams or kilograms? Now remember what we talked about. If an object is lighter than our friend here, the dictionary, we want to measure it in grams because it's going to be less than 1 kilogram. However, if it's going to be heavier than this dictionary, we want to measure it in kilograms. So the question is a baked pretzel heavier or lighter than a dictionary? I think it's lighter. The better unit to measure would be grams, because pretzels don't have a lot of mass. The rest of the problems on this page should look very similar to that. I also want to do number 17 with you. That one's also a little tricky. It says, a bag of potatoes has a mass of about 3 kilograms. Here's my bag of potatoes. Yum. What are 2 other items that would have the same mass? Think of other things that you would buy in a grocery store. I have 2 examples here with me. One example could be a bag of flour. This would be about 3 kilograms. It would be about the same as my bag of potatoes. Another object that would have the mass of about 3 kilograms would be a bag of fruit. I have some apples and I have some oranges. This bag of fruit is about 3 kilograms. You are going to keep working and finishing page 648. You're going to then move on to page 649 and 650. All of these problems are asking you to measure or estimate the mass of an object in grams or in kilograms. Remember, grams, paper clips, very, very light. Even if you have a lot of them, very light. Kilograms, dictionary. They're heavier than grams. An iron, heavy. A toaster, pineapple, heavy. Use your best thinking. Keep working hard. Let me know if you have any questions.